Okay. Okay, we're live. Got it. Everybody happy? All right, I'm going to be multitasking here, trying to keep an eye on the waiting room, which there's Brant. Hello, excellent. Um, Hi, everyone. Welcome to Focal Alliance Region Midwest Virtual Connections Program. We are super excited today to have the wonderful Ellen Stanley, who is our current conference director. She's doing an amazing job keeping this conference just running like clockwork, and I've been just nothing but impressed. Those of you who know, I have a little experience in this department, so when it came time to pass the torch, the most perfect candidate showed up, and we're super excited that she joined us. So today we're going to talk about the conference, but I'm going to tell you a little bit about Ellen for those of you who don't know. Ellen is not just the farm conference director. She is a radio DJ. She's a publicist. She is a mom. She is a musician. And all of these things are in random orders of importance depending on any time of day, right? In our life. So
Yeah.
We at Virtual Connections have been running these kind of, periodic tech talks, let's just say. Once we've started getting back out in person, we've been doing them less frequently. But we thought it would be a good time before things really start ramping up to get an update from Ellen about what's going on with the conference. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Ellen. She's going to give you an update. You will then open up to questions. She and I will have a chat, and we're going to have a grand old time. So I'll be also watching the Facebooks and the YouTube. So if you have questions, if you're watching out there, we'll keep an eye out. Go ahead and put your questions in the chat, and we'll make sure she gets them. Okay? Thanks, everybody. Please take it away, Ellen.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Annie. And yes, for those of you who don't know, Annie Capps was conference director for many years, and any success that this conference has had has been because of all the work that she did to set me up to do this. So I love farm, and I have very excited about coming into my second year of being the conference director. This year's Focal Alliance Regional Midwest Conference takes place October 24th through 27th, which you might already know. It's happening in Lisle, Illinois, which is just outside of Chicago. And this will be our final year in Chicago. So if you live in that region, this will be a great opportunity to come to the conference while it's close to you. And no, we do not know yet. We have a few different sites in mind, but we don't know where the 2025 conference will be yet. But we're focused on this year. We have a lot of great things coming. Susan Werner is going to be our keynote. She now lives in Chicago. She's originally from Iowa, lived on the East Coast for many years, but she's back in our neck of the woods, and we're really excited that she will be our keynote speaker. And a few other program updates by request. So we do listen to your feedback. There's going to be a lot of trad content in addition to all the other stuff that you expect at Farm. We're going to have Rena Rossi, who is a member of the band Steam Machine. They were official showcase artists a couple years ago. She's a big mover and shaker in the old time and traditional dance music scene nationally, as well as right here in the Midwest. She will be organizing some really cool programming components, including a panel on the future of old time, including gender-free calling and topics like that. Also, there's going to be a contra dance to kick things off on the Thursday with a live band. So we're really excited about that. It's a great way to meet people and kind of loosen everyone up a little bit for a great weekend of music. And there's going to be a trad jam room as well. So there's going to be a lot of opportunities if you veer towards the old time traditional music as well. So those are a couple programming updates. If there are certain kinds of workshops or topics or things you want to see at this year's conference, we are, working on the the pieces right now. So I'll put this in the chat, but there is a form you can fill out if you have ideas for workshops or panels or things you want to have be a part of this year's programming. And even if we can't fit it into this year's conference programming, we often like to weave it into the things that Annie and the Virtual Connections Committee does for the Tech Talks and these other online programs we have throughout the year. A few other updates about showcases. I know people always want to know about showcases. Farm luckily has some of the most performance opportunities out of any of the regional conferences. Official showcase applications are closed, as you probably know, and we'll be notifying people by July 14th as to whether they got an official showcase or not. And but there are plenty of opportunities to perform. And one of the things that I love about Farm is that we also limit everyone's showcases to 3, meaning that even if you have an official showcase, you can only have 2 other showcases. And this is a great way to ensure that everyone gets to perform and that everyone gets seen, because if you're busy running around playing your own showcases, you don't get to hear other people play. And I think one of the key parts of building a robust music community is the opportunity for us to hear our peers and to meet them and to forge those connections. So the private showcase applications are open now. So if you would like to host a private showcase room, and if you're wondering, a private showcase is not private per se. I mean, it's for anyone who's at the conference. So I know we call it private showcase. Really, it's a late night showcase. So it happens after the official showcases happen on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday nights from 10:30 p.m. to 2:30 a.m. And that's different from last year. We're going back to the 10:30 p.m. start. We're moving the showcases up a little bit, so there's still going to be some buffer time. But these late night showcases can be hosted by anyone, as I mentioned. So it could be a booking agent who wants to show off their roster of clients. It could be an artist who just wants to put on a great night of music with their friends. It could be a festival. If you are interested in hosting a room, they take place in conference rooms, not in hotel bedrooms like some of the other, like Folk Alliance International or some of the other regional conferences. All of these late night showcases happen in conference rooms, so they're limited to 10. If you want to host a room one night or a couple nights, you can put your preference in that private showcase application form, and it looks like Annie put that in the chat, so that's great. So you can find the link to that form, and it costs $75 a night to host the room, and we're happy about that too, because it means it's very accessible for people to just host a room. You don't need to rent a whole extra hotel room to do this. So the deadline for that is July 1st. If you want to apply to host a private showcase, we'll be announcing the hosts on July 15th. So that means that once we announce those hosts, and if you're on the farm email list, you will get notified. It will be up on the website. And then you can contact any of the hosts if you want to inquire about a showcase. And obviously, showcase hosts can also just go forth and find their friends to perform as well. So that's the update on private showcases. Performance Lane is another wonderful thing we do at Farm. And some of you have participated in the virtual Performance Lane, which we do online every month. But this all started because we do it as part of the conference in person. So on Friday and Saturday afternoons, we have, I believe it's 3 conference rooms. I'm doing this off the top of my head, not by looking at my notes. So there are a few conference rooms set aside for Performance Lane showcases. These are based in order of registration and request. So basically, these are 10-minute showcases, no sound. You just go on, have your 10 minutes, play your 2 songs, and get off. But the nice thing is nothing else happens during the Performance Lane showcases and the programming schedule. So a lot of people are, and there's only a couple rooms, so people are really going back and forth between the rooms, and it's a great way for people to hear artists that are familiar and not familiar. So Performance Lane. So in terms of the update, if you have already registered, you got a a bounce back thing saying click here and apply for the Performance Lane showcase. And then this year, which is different than in past years, if you have done a Performance Lane for the last 2 years, we're giving preference for people who have not had a Performance Lane showcase in the last 2 years. And because they fill up so fast that there are many people who might not even be new to the conference, but don't register as soon as it opens, who have not had the opportunity. So that's something new we're doing this year. We are working on scheduling those right now, and we should let everyone know by the end of June about Performance Lane, whether they got a slot and when that is. The Folk DJ Showcase happens on Thursday night. There's no official showcase on Thursday. We have the Folk DJ Showcase in its place on the main stage, and that's where different folk DJs, usually we have about 10 or 11 folk DJs, select an artist that they're excited about that has not had an official showcase before at Farm, and they get an opportunity to present them to play a short set. And obviously, if you have an official, you can't have a folk DJ showcase. So the folk DJ showcases that will be scheduled. Well, there will be an opportunity to apply or express interest in being on the list of folk DJs to select. That will be closing at the end of July. We'll be talking about that more coming up. But for now, the main thing to keep an eye out for is the private showcase host list, which will be mid-July. So that's a whole lot of stuff I've just said about performance opportunities, but I know that's what a lot of people want to know about. And I don't know if there's anything else that I should give in terms of general updates, Annie.
Sorry, I'm unmuting myself. It was all great. I was furiously taking notes, and as I was typing a message, as I was typing a question, you were answering the question. So I should have just waited. But I did have a question about the DJ showcase. I think real quick, or maybe just a comment. And like in the past, that we've encouraged artists to actually solicit DJs if they're in the West.
Yeah.
If you're still like, because part of the fun of that is to get the new DJs to also come and present.
Right.
Is there a limit to how many you're going to do?
I believe, obviously, it also hinges on the DJ wanting to participate. So, but yeah, if you know a folk DJ who will be there or you think might be there, definitely say, hey, I'd love to be presented by you. And if you don't know yet whether you have an official, that's okay. You know, the worst that would happen is that you tell the DJ, I got an official, and the DJ is probably super excited for you, and they'll pick someone else. So it's not a huge deal. That's why we're doing this a lot earlier, so that folks can have, we have plenty of opportunity to get the schedule in order and make sure that the communication happens and that someone else gets that opportunity. So yes, feel free to approach DJs. Again, it's if you haven't had a folk DJ showcase at Farm or an official. So if you've been presented by another folk DJ, you can't be presented again as part of the folk DJ. But yeah, you can definitely approach DJs, but for people who don't maybe know folk DJs as well and aren't as immersed in the Farm community, there will be a form online that you can fill out that just says, I'm interested, and that way for DJs who are kind of like on the search for something new and interesting, which some of the folk DJs really love that opportunity, then they can do that. So that's another way of putting your name out there and your interest. I did see a question from Patty about virtual Performance Lane and wondering if you've done a Zoom Performance Lane, does that mean you won't have an opportunity to do Performance Lane at the conference? No. They're different. So it's only if you've done an Performance Lane at the conference the last 2 years. We're giving preference to people who have not done that. So we're basically just going in order of registration or in order of filling out the form, which is in order of registration, if that makes sense. So.
if you
hopefully that answers
fill
your
out the
question.
form after you register, right? It's like,
Right,
yeah.
right.
So open mics?
Yes, there's going to be at least one open stage. We're still working on the schedule, but there will at least be one on, I can't remember if it's Friday or Saturday, like in the noon hour. There will definitely be at least one open stage.
Yeah. Yeah. Does anybody in the room have questions that you're aching to ask in person? I see Randall. Go ahead. I'm going to have you on mute. Go ahead, sir.
I do. Thank you. Um, has the Performance Lane Showcase sign up already passed? They just haven't been announced.
Yeah, we haven't been announced, but I will say if
that's
you haven't, you could still fill out the form, but to be honest, it's probably filled up because we've had so many registrants already, and there's only, I can't remember how many slots there are. But yes, I can always get you that link.
I would say from even
okay. I signed up for. Sorry, I signed up for the official showcase. I guess I missed the other one. This is my first time in at the conference, so. Okay,
yeah,
so that I would appreciate the form. I'll fill it in, but I'm not expecting a lot from it.
Okay, yeah, and the other thing I would say. Sorry, go ahead.
And my other question was, where will we find the list of DJs and things when they're announced?
Yeah.
When will that list be up?
And if you're on the email list, which it sounds like you probably are, if you've registered, if you're not on the farm email list, all of you should sign up, because that's really where you get notified about all the conference news and updates. So we'll let you know for sure when that's up, but it will be up on the website. So, and we'll make sure to let you know it's on the website for the folk DJ list and the private showcase list as well. To answer your question, also, I wanted to mention, Randall, since you're a first timer, that we also have one of the late night showcases we have is the first timers room, and it's designed for people like you. So, so if you are a first time attendee at Farm, we encourage you to, one of the names you'll see listed for the private showcase host is the first timers room, and you should definitely email them about getting a slot to perform there, because that's a great opportunity. And again, everyone can only do 3. So if you got an official and a first timers, you'd only have one other kind of chance to perform anyway.
So are we going to do mentor sessions, you think, this year too?
Yes, we're doing speed mentoring sessions. So this is a cool thing we do. We're doing it. I think we have them scheduled right now for Saturday and Sunday, but we might be able to open up another opportunity. But basically, these are mentoring sessions you sign up for at the conference that morning. And we have sign-up sheets, and we have different people available, booking agents, veteran artists, presenters, DJs, people who wear different kinds of hats in the industry. And you can sign up for a 15-minute session just to pick their brain about anything you want. It's a great way of meeting new people. And again, sometimes you just have like 2 questions and you're like, I don't want to hire a lawyer or, pay for a big consultation fee to talk to someone who has experience in the industry. Or it's just a great way, again, of shaking someone's hand and meeting someone new. So those will be those you sign up for at the conference. So you have to be present to do it. And you do them that morning, and it's a really wonderful thing. And if you want to be a mentor, I should also mention, if you have a special line of expertise, it might even be, maybe you're a musician, but you also are like, oh, I'm also a professional videographer, like if you want to be a mentor or have some sort of experience you want to share, whether it's part of as being a mentor, or maybe it's for some other part of the conference, definitely feel free to reach out to me anytime. My email is conference@farmfolk.org. So you can, you've probably been getting emails from me if you're on our email list, but that's how you can get a hold of me if you have any questions about that. I think Brant
hand up. Yeah. just
so polite, Brant. Thank you.
Hey, Brant.
Hi. Yeah. What I was going to say. Oh, yeah. We've had song circles at Surfa the last couple of years, 3 years maybe, and they've been pretty nice. I've hosted some. I know Julie hosted one here, but Is that something you've ever had or might have?
Yes. And I would say they can be, there's always informal ones that happen for sure at various points throughout the conference. That being said, if there's, that has come up before. So maybe that might be something we put more purposefully in the calendar at a certain stage so that people know where to gather and where to find each other. Um, but yes, I'm making note of that right now. Annie, do you want to chime in with anything
Well, all I was
based on
going to
your
say
experience?
is, yeah, I know what Brant's talking about because at Surfa, but Brant, do you want to just elaborate a little bit more on how that works at Surfa? Because it's more of an advanced sign up kind of thing.
Yeah, sure. People, I don't know how it originally got started, but people suggested having song circles. So there's been like at least a couple for like 2 or 3 days during Surfa, and there were different themes basically. You pick a theme,
Hmm.
and then people sign up, and the first come first serve. Let's say normally kind of limited to a reasonable amount of people for about an hour. I think it was about an hour and 15 minutes, or maybe an hour and a half at most during the morning or afternoon. And so a lot of people enjoyed doing that and also came to listen. And yeah, it was an advanced sign up. So basically, people said, "Yeah, I'd like to do host a song circle," and then they would put out the word, or maybe the conference folks would put out something saying these are different song circles, and here's contact information for each person who's hosting it, and if you'd like to sign up, get in touch with them.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was all done through the Surfa Google group, as I recall. So
Yeah.
Mhm.
yeah, you had to be kind of really engaged with that, and Farms listserv has sort of gotten like ghost land out there.
But I will say the listserv or also the farm Facebook group are two great ways to be in touch with people ahead of the conference and after, but especially leading up to the conference. If you are new, or you're just maybe you're looking for a ride or a roommate or any of those things, that's a great way to connect with people. I should just mention.
Yeah.
And someone had asked, I don't know if this was before or after I'd given the info about of the official showcase notifications. It is on the website, but we are going to let all artists know whether they've gotten an official showcase by July 14th. So you will know that by then. Well ahead of, and we're announcing the private showcase hosts on July 15th. So you'll even know how many showcases you have to work with. Because again, if you have that official showcase, you can only have 2 other showcases. And I should mention that Performance Lane actually does not count towards that number. That's kind of like a
the DJ
bonus.
showcase isn't up yet, right?
Right.
It didn't, yeah, it's not up yet.
Not up yet, but it will be soon. Yep.
Yeah. I was gonna ask about something and I can't totally forgot. So, but more about like for those folks who've never been to farm at all, just kind of do we offer any sort of first timer kind of ambassadorship, maybe like a situation where they can sign up to like have a buddy that takes them around the conference? I think
Yeah. Well, the first thing I'd recommend is we do one of the very first workshops we offer on the Thursday afternoon is a first timers or like orientation. So like how to make the most out of your conference, things to know about, led by experienced farm attendees and volunteers. So that's a really great thing to do ahead of time, just because you'll also meet other first time folks as well in the room. So that's a great way to do that. And certainly, I don't know if we've ever done a sort of formal pairing up of people, but we definitely could facilitate something like that where we have just a list of experienced people, and if people want to meet, be matched up with someone, we could definitely do that. Also, I'd recommend again that Thursday, if you're coming for the whole weekend. Definitely arrive by Thursday afternoon if you're a first timer, because you'll get to get your feet wet before there's a whole lot of people. But also, as I mentioned, there's the first timer orientation. There's also like a social hour around 4:30. So it's a great opportunity to just meet people and maybe people that you met at the first timer orientation. So you can meet people there. But then again, we're going to have that contra dance right after that. So that's a really great way of just meeting people and getting more comfortable and hanging out in a more relaxed way.
That's so
Yeah, I'm really excited about that.
fun.
And then volunteering, as Annie prompted me right there, is a great way to meet people. So if you, and also you get a discount if you would like on your registration. So if you want to volunteer for as little as 4 hours, you could get a bit off of your registration. And if you've already registered, you'd get that amount refunded if you wanted that, or you can have it just donated to farm. But that's a great way of meeting people. And they're really like pretty easy jobs. It's like helping out at registration, or being at the info table, or hanging out at the workshop rooms to make sure people have wristbands or whatever, very simple kinds of things. So if that is something that's of interest, I don't know if you have the link to that, Annie, there. If not, I can find it. The volunteer sign up.
Yeah, I can drop it in there, but I put the general conference info page actually has a link.
Perfect.
Information.
Yes. And when you go to Farm Folk, if you go to the conference info page, that basically has at least links to everything that you probably want to know, most likely. And if there isn't, then this is the time to ask us.
Some of the pages are still showing a little bit of last year's content, just because we're not
right. Some of it has
there yet, because we don't have updated. So you get an idea.
So, for instance, the schedule you'll see is last year's schedule, and it says 2023 schedule, and that really just gives you an idea of the kinds of things that will be happening and the basic structure of the schedule, which is fairly similar. I'll be posting the general schedule soon, just sort of the outline of like when workshops happen and when meals happen, and kind of basic things like that. Yeah. And I should mention meals. Another thing that's good to know about if you are new to farm or haven't been in a while, maybe not at our current location, the important thing to know is there is a bar and restaurant at the hotel. However, the hours are sometimes a little spotty. I mean, you can always get breakfast and lunch and stuff, but there are not restaurants that are this easy walking distance from the hotel. There are things that aren't that far if you have a car. But if you want to maximize the most out of your conference, I'd highly recommend at least either getting the full meal package or at least sign up for a couple meals. The Friday meal is free for all registrants. So that's a great opportunity to make the most of that time, not just getting the free food, but actually like sitting down and meeting people, because we have communal meals. It's a really great way of furthering your connection without too much effort. Even if you're an introvert, folks will come to you and you have to sit somewhere. So you'll end up next to somebody and often strike up a conversation. And the food is actually pretty good for hotel food, I will say. So it's a pretty good deal if you get the complete meal package, but you can also this year we're doing it differently. You can just get a single meal. So if you're like, I'm only going to be there Saturday to Sunday, maybe you just want the Saturday dinner or something like that. You can just purchase a single meal, and that's an option on the registration page. And you will be able to add on meals later too. So if you already registered, you'll be able to do that.
There's always plenty of food, isn't there?
Yeah.
I mean, in some ways.
Yeah, that's right. And Patty chimed in and said the restaurant didn't offer lunch on at least 2 days last year. Okay, so that's good to know. So yeah, that's just to say. And there are places that will deliver, like if you just need like a sandwich delivered or whatever, there are places to do that. And I know some people have different dietary restrictions. There is a spot in the registration form though, that if you do have any dietary restrictions or other special accommodations, physical accommodations, things that are needed for the conference, definitely fill those out, because we've been keeping an eye on those so that to make sure everyone's taken care of. So, and Tia asked about whether the rooms have mini fridges, and I believe they did last year.
No, I don't think they have a limited number of them, and if you need one, you need to register, request it early. Is my experience. I remember a lot of people were talking about that up front. So unless something's changed, which you sort of remember that from last year. And there's a pile of questions that are coming through, but Patty's asking, and I'm pretty sure this is still, because maybe I missed this, but if you don't have an official showcase, it's still 3 private showcases or
It's it's 3 showcases total.
total?
So
That's what I thought.
so if you
Performance
have
Night
if you
doesn't-
have an official, you can have 2 other private showcases. If you have no official or folk DJ showcases, you can have 3 private showcases. So basically 3 total. The only thing that doesn't count towards your 3 total is Performance Lane.
Right.
Does that help with that?
And don't we sort of give like priority for the open night to people who have like very few?
Who don't have anything? Yeah.
Yeah. And I
So-
remember the restaurant. The other thing I'll say about the restaurant, just in general, is that they're very understaffed. So
Yeah.
they just can't handle the kind of. So I remember it being extremely slow to get served, and so I don't know if they're fixing that, but that was an ongoing thing. I think that's.
Yeah, I'd recommend if you to bring food. Obviously, if you don't have a fridge, then I mean, even just things that don't have to be refrigerated. Just if you're like me and you get hungry all the time, blood sugar spikes, blood sugar lulls. Just to bring snacks with you, because we have the meals, but like especially in the middle of the day, because we don't have lunch as part of that meal, but the breakfasts go till what, like 10:30 or something.
Yeah.
And then and then dinner is early. So depending on how robustly you eat, you might not need anything, or maybe a snack would tide you over. I found a great deli that did deliveries that was really easy as well. So but just wanted to give a heads up about that.
Sorry, I keep muting myself. I don't know why. Laura Jane has a quick question about showcase hosting logistics, if there's time. And Laura, there is. So you go right ahead.
Mute. Hi, thank you so much. I'm every time I have a question, you guys answer it. So thank you so much for all this good info every single time. But I just have one more quick thing about private showcase hosting, and you might have already added this or will add it to the website. So I apologize if it's repetitive. But if we're hosting a room, I've only had experience hosting at Folk Alliance where you are in charge of the room the entire time. Is it more like are regionals like this more like Surfa where you share hosting rooms with other parties, or do you kind of take responsibility of a full room, and are you responsible to rent that room from the hotel?
No, it's different from that because and we said this earlier, but you might not have been on yet. That the private showcases at Farm actually take place in conference rooms. Okay. So you do not need to rent an extra hotel room, which is wonderful. Cool. Which is why it's not a huge expense. We charge $75 per night. So if you fill out the private showcase hosting form and you say, I want to host 2 nights, of the 3-night conference. Then if we can accommodate that, we will. We only have 10 conference rooms. So sometimes someone wants it for 3 nights, but we can only accommodate 2 or whatever. But if you were able to get that for 2 nights, then you would, pay $150 for those 2 nights, and you're responsible for the room for those times. So it's not like it's your room for the whole weekend. But between the times of the showcase, you are responsible. That's not to say you might be sharing the responsibilities with, friends or whoever, in terms of who actually hosts and, introduces the acts and all that. But yeah, so you're responsible for the room during that time. And we do have some guidelines, which we'll be sending out to the hosts in terms of like expectations and things like that. Cool. But it's not quite the same as at FAI where you have a hotel room and you have to pay for that for the whole thing. It's just the $75 per night fee. So if you hosted 1 night, $75, 2, $150. And and also in terms of the setup, it depends on the room. But if you have very specific things you need for your room, like, I don't know, if you had a more elaborate setup because your room is going to have like, it's going to be all piano or something. And so you need to have a keyboard and amp setup or whatever. That would be something you'd want to put in your form, just like, so we know, because there's a few of the rooms that can have more of the same, don't have as much tear down. And some of the rooms are used during the day for workshops. So it just kind of depends.
is there like a place on the form for us to like pitch kind of our idea of what we want the room to be, kind of? Because I was
Yeah.
thinking more just, I wouldn't want to like, decorate or something, like if another person had to come in and host after us or
Right.
something like that. I'm thinking
And
of silly stuff like that, but
yeah,
but thank you
well,
so
and
much.
also, yeah, and there's definitely a part in the form that also says like what you think the room would be in terms of like content or theme,
Okay.
because sometimes people are like, I want to showcase,
Yeah, like an
I don't
artist
know,
collective.
accordion music
Yeah.
all weekend or whatever.
Or like if we had an artist collective or something, that'd be like our
yeah.
theme kind of. Okay, cool. Good. Thank you so much.
And then also in terms of the setup of the room, most of the setup, again, unless there's something that maybe you want to talk about with us in advance, should be something that's pretty simple in terms of like either that's something that can be pushed in a corner or be torn down, because you're not going to have a ton of setup time because, just by the nature of these being rooms that are going to be used for other things during the day. So
perfect.
So I will say that's one thing, and they have chairs already. So that's the other great thing about using conference rooms is like, you won't need to the main thing that people bring are things like maybe some funkier lighting, because they don't have to use the overhead lights. Yeah. Sweet. Or like banners or things like that. Yep.
Awesome. Thank you so much, guys. This has been my first time going. I'm very excited. I've been to others, but I'm really excited to come to this one this year. So thank you. Appreciate it.
Great. Thanks, Laura.
How we doing? Any other questions out there? I think Ellen has covered a lot of ground today. I'm coming back on the screen for a quick second, but we will have, obviously she's available. Her email is out there on the website. There's more questions that come up periodically, but I'm just going to echo everything she said about getting on that mailing list, making sure you're reading the emails so you don't miss stuff, because that's going to be the number one way to find out what's going on. And then the website, of course, check back frequently as things will get updated. And what else? Anything else? Other than it's
and then Patty asked about the Whova app. Thank you, Patty, for that question. Yes, we are using the Whova app. So we do have a conference app, which yes, we'll send that out soon in the email. But basically, if you have used our again, Whova's the platform we use for our conference app, and it's great. I mean, it has like, when you get close to the conference, if you have a smartphone in any capacity, you will want to have the app. And even if you don't, you can actually use it on a laptop or iPad or something. But the app is great because it will always have the most up-to-date conference info during the conference as well. And we even post reminders about things happening, or if something changes rooms, any last minute changes, the app is a great way of doing that. So if you have been to Farm before or used the Whova app and already have an account, it should be very, very easy. The one thing is, if you use a different email to register for this year's conference versus last year's, that might be something you have to update. But other than that, it's very, very easy. And we'll make sure to let you know about that. It looks like we have 2 people with raised hands. Kat was first.
Yeah. Hello. I was just going to ask about what volunteer opportunities are available ahead of the conference. If you need that kind of assistance, or if you have committees, or how that works.
Yes, there's a lot of people, mostly except for me. Everyone else who works on the conference, except for a few contract workers at the physical conference, everyone is volunteers. So we always need extra hands and minds and proofreading eyes to help out with things. So if there's anything in particular, the kinds of things we need right now, we have a lot of this. We have people overseeing a lot of these different chunks, like official showcases, private showcases, Performance Lane. We have people who are overseeing those pieces. That being said, we need people sometimes to implement those pieces. Probably the biggest thing so if you're interested in, if there's any part of the conference that's of particular interest, definitely just reach out to me and email me and say, I'm really good at this, or these are skills that I have. or even when your availability is. That would be helpful. But one thing I know, and a few people have already volunteered for this, that we'll need as we get closer is just like, yeah, extra proofreading eyes. That's something that's always helpful. And also overseeing the volunteers. So this is another area that we will need help with is both, we have some experienced people, but they're already wearing a lot of other hats for the conference. So if there's anyone who's really interested in volunteer organizing, like organizing the volunteers, as well as every day there will be like a volunteer team captain. So if you like that kind of thing, the organizational pieces, certainly let me know. And Laura Jane asked about the volunteer sign up. And yes, we did put that in the chat, I think. I think Annie put it in there. So if scroll up a bit, but Annie just put it in there again. So I don't know if that answers your question, Kat. There's a lot of different things that need doing. But if there's anything particular that you're thinking about that you would like to offer your services for, please let me know.
Go ahead.
Oh,
Fran.
and also,
sorry.
I remembered one other thing. Sorry, Kat. Is that, and this is for farm generally, not conference specific, but there was just an announcement made that we are taking applications for people who are interested in being on the board at farm. Now that's a much bigger commitment, but if that's anything that you're ever something that you or anyone else is interested in, that was another great way of getting involved with farm.
I guess I'll chime in then on my question. Oh, yeah. Is there going to be like a list of private showcase hosts that will be put out to contact again this year?
Mm-hmm.
Is that how it's going to work?
Yep. Yeah, we mentioned this earlier, but it's going to be up on the website on July 15th. And you'll also get a reminder about that in an email. But yeah, July 15th, right now we're still, the applications are still open to host a private showcase. So that's why we haven't announced who they are yet, because we don't know who they are yet. We're still waiting for people to express their interest in hosting rooms. So again, July 15th is when that will be up on the website. And again, if you haven't done this before, there's actually a section on the website that says for artists who are interested in finding a private showcase. So there's some little tips there, but also it will list basically all the private showcase hosts. It will have a little description of their room in case it has a theme or a specific style or vibe they're going for. And then it will have their contact info. So it'll be very easy for people to just, even if you don't know who the individuals are, if you're like, oh, that sounds like the music I do, I should contact that host. You can do that.
Hey, Ellen, Victoria, I see your hand up. Patty asked something that I also tossed in the chat to you earlier, but we were just talking about like, will there be a physical program again in tote bags?
Yes.
And you want to talk about advertising and sponsorships and stuff like
yes.
that?
For those of you, yes, you can buy an ad anytime. Some people did it when they were registering, same with sponsorships. You can become a sponsor or purchase an ad during that registration process. But if you already registered and did not purchase an ad, we will be making that available. And I'll make sure, I'm going to make a note of that now to make sure to do a specific note about that in an upcoming email so that you know exactly where to go to do that.
I just posted the link on it's on the website, but I just posted
okay, great.
in the chat too. And
so yes,
same thing. Sponsorships are the same as they've been.
Yep, they're the same as they've been. Probably the only other new one is that if you want to be a coffee sponsor, we have 3 coffee sponsorships available. So if you want, and so if you're looking for, and that's the same as this, it's at the amount of the silver sponsorship. So that's $500. But if you want your business or your band to have lots of love thrown their way and lots of good feelings, because one thing that if you're new to the farm, you might not know is we provide free coffee. Now it's not free to us. This is something farm invests in because we care about you and ourselves and being able to stay up to the late night hours and wake up early for all the great programming. So because there is not a coffee shop on site. So having that free coffee is really nice, but you'd be surprised how much coffee costs. I know Annie knows, but it is very expensive. So we have free coffee sponsorships available, but it means coffee's out there all weekend. It's a prime location. I should say coffee and tea, not just coffee, and decaf and all that. So if there's a big coffee kind of spread, bunch of tables, and your banner and info could be on that coffee table all weekend. So that's probably the only thing that's changed in terms of sponsors, is that extra sponsorship opportunity. But the other sponsorships come with various things, including some of them come with ads or a free registration if you're at those high level sponsorships. So you can read about those on the website if you go to sponsorships.
I also put the link in the chat. So Victoria, yeah. Hi
there. And I've been to Farm twice now, and I noticed that in the private showcases and in Performance Lane, it's very typically a singer-songwriter with a guitar type of person who's performing in those environments. Is it welcome or encouraged to be, say, a duo? Like, can I bring my upright bass player and have him play with me wherever I go? Or
absolutely.
How's that go?
Absolutely. And yeah, I would say there's more and more bands every year, and of all sizes. So from 2 to 6 or more. So yes, definitely. And there's no reason why you couldn't do a Performance Lane slot. I mean, it's either way, it's 2 people going up to play music as opposed to 1 person. It does not affect that because there's no sound check involved or, anything like that. The only thing I would point out for people who are maybe new to farm, who maybe didn't bring a bass player in the past or bring a side person, is that since everything except for the main stage stuff is not sound supported, and you're not supposed to have, and if you're a private showcase host, we don't use PAs or anything like that. The only thing that you can bring if you need, like, if you have an electric instrument like a keyboard or an electric guitar and you need an amp for that, just because it won't be heard if you don't have an amp, you can bring that with you. Obviously, you want to bring something pretty portable and easy to deal with. But you can use that in the private showcases and at Performance Lane. It just needs to be like not terribly loud, obviously, which you wouldn't want to do anyway, because if you're an electric guitar player playing with an acoustic guitar player, you would obviously need that sound balanced out anyway. So that would keep you from getting too loud. But
how we doing, folks? This has been great. Randall's got his hand up again. That's good.
Thank you. Can you, maybe you have already, I didn't see it, but can you put the link to the Whova app, or do I just go to the App Store for it? And how do you spell it if I need to go to the App Store for it?
Oh, Whova?
I've never had a Whova
it's
app.
WHOVA. And I think it's on the website, right, Annie? I think there's a link to Whova.
There was a link to Whova in the conference help section. I'm looking right now, and it's the 2023 app login, but it should be the same. I think no, it's going to be different, right? It'll be updated for this year. Is that right?
Yeah, I don't remember the answer to that yet, but yes, it's Whova. WHOVA is how you spell it. And so you can download that now. We have not built out a this year's conference on the app yet, but that will be soon. It will be happening over the next month. So again, we'll make sure, if you're on the email list, you'll get a notification when that happens. And the nice thing is, we integrate our registrations with that. So it's usually pretty easy. Once you've signed up, it just works really well.
Patty's asking, I
had one more.
Oh, I'm sorry. Randall, were you still talking?
I did have a second question.
Okay.
And that is there assuming there is a list of venue lists and presenter lists to contact before the conference kind of thing to set up times to meet? And when and where do I find that?
Yeah, usually, I can't remember when we started doing that, if that's like a month or two out. We do start publishing the lists on our website of just like who's registered. But then also at the conference itself, obviously you'll also have access to everyone who wants their name to be included, all the contact info of registrants and stuff like that also will be in a program. And Patty had mentioned that she likes to keep all her past programs as a reference tool and a resource book. And I will say that is a really great way of kind of maintaining those contacts throughout the year. But in terms of getting together with people before the conference and making those connections, yes, you'll be able to see the attendee list. Again, not yet, but I can't remember when we usually start doing that. I want to say definitely by September it will be there. But again, I would say feel free to reach out to anyone at any time to like through the Facebook group and all these other places to make those connections.
Also, if I remember correctly, I mean, it depends on the people who are actually active on the app, but I think we encourage people to be really active on the app, and that's a great way to connect with people is directly through the Whova app.
Yeah.
Because once they're registered, they should automatically get added into the app, certainly.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah, and I agree. Yeah, definitely. And that's a great way because you can, private message people there and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And obviously, even when you have the private, sorry, go ahead.
When you have the list, like presenters and venue lists and stuff, will there be contact information with that list when you've listed who's registered?
Well, the stuff on the website does not, because obviously that's a public space. So we don't post it there. We want it just for conference people.
Okay.
But I'm trying to think. But again, all that info will be available as part of the program book. But
yeah, I understand. It's my first time at the conference. I've been at the International decades ago, and I'm not a first-time musician, but so I know I need to do this kind of thing beforehand. So I'm just
no, that's absolutely right. Which and then, but Annie's right in terms of the app is a great way of doing some of that outreach in advance of the conference, because you can message people there.
Yeah, so I'm going to back up a little bit because Patty Peace asked a question. And Patty, I'm not sure, but official showcase submissions are done. So there's no more of that. The only submissions, quote unquote, at this point would be soliciting for private showcase, right? Mm-hmm. Or the DJ show.
And then also the folk DJ form when we have that
DJ showcase, right? So basically, yes, trad stuff is totally fine, I think, to include in that. Right, if that's what you do. How many people are registered? She was just asking. Yeah,
we have about 200 registered right now,
which is awesome. And then Jane, what do you think? Obvious question. Just pull up registration vote to have it handy. But I'm thinking we should wait to register for temporary volunteer. No,
you don't need to wait to register. So, Laura, if you just register for the conference. And then later you decide you want to volunteer. Basically, if you volunteered for 4 hours or 8 hours or whatever the increment was, and you qualified for like a discount, basically it's a compensation for the amount of volunteer time that you had, which you can have that amount refunded. So it doesn't matter if you register first and then, because it's two separate pieces anyway, because the volunteer form is separate from the registration. So if that answers your question, you can do either at either time. If that makes sense.
So let's talk about a drop zone and the display space.
Thank you, Annie. I would have not mentioned that.
I'm going to say Patty Stevenson's putting some good stuff in there.
Patty Stevenson, she's like prompting us left and right. Thank you. Patty's an experienced farm goer, so she knows the right questions to ask. So the drop zone for you, Randall, and any of you other folks who are new to farm, and if you're returning, but especially for folks who maybe don't know who all the people are that they need to talk to. The drop zone is a really wonderful thing. It's basically, there's an area where there's boxes with anyone who wants to have a box. So that would be DJs, presenters, festivals, anyone like that, media. They can have a box and they will say, and the box will say who they are, what organization or business they're affiliated with, and what they are, their role, again, DJ, festival, presenter, whatever. And it will say what they are willing to accept in terms of materials. So this is a physical box, and it might say CDs only, or just paper, or whatever it is. But it'll tell you what their preference is, and then you throw the stuff in your box. So it's a great way of, like, if you're an artist, you can drop your CDs off for different DJs, and you don't even have to have met them. You just you're like, oh, I want to throw my CDs for all the DJs that want CDs. So it's a really wonderful way to make those connections, and a lot of the DJs and presenters really love it too, because they just get this great pool of stuff. And Patty Stevenson gave a really good pro tip on there. Hint: take a picture of the info on the boxes you drop your stuff in, so you can have a record of who you contacted. It's best to meet in person, but it's a great alternative, and I would agree with that. Or maybe you met them earlier and you didn't have your CDs on you, and it's a great way to know and follow up. And I was just going to get to the DJ meet and greet, Annie. I'm glad you mentioned that. Another way to actually meet the DJs in person is on Saturday afternoon. I think it's Saturdays or Friday. I can't remember. Anyway, one of the afternoons, there is a folk DJ meet and greet. And this is basically just a social hour time for you to meet DJs. And last year we had people had tents set up so you could actually go and meet DJs and talk with them, and they were labeled. So if you don't know, maybe you know someone's name but you don't know what they look like, or maybe you don't even know any DJs, and so you want to meet them, that it will say what station and what city they're from, and that's a great way of meeting people as well. And then Annie Capps mentioned earlier that there's also tables throughout the hotel, kind of in the hallways near where the workshops take place. There's open tables, and unlike some conferences, we don't have an official exhibit hall. There are just open tables where you can throw out materials and information about your showcases, about your album, and you can, as long as you're considerate of other people and don't hog a whole big table, you can have a little display for your music and let people know what you're doing, which is and it's free. So it's a really great way of getting your music out there.
Sorry, mute button. I'm bringing myself back on screen because we're winding down to the final 3 minutes of this amazing hour that became, thank you, Patty Stevenson, for hanging out. Back up. I'm staring at the general conference info page, which really has a great overview right now of just everything that's going to go on. There's links there. It's probably the most up-to-date information. And if it's not, if something isn't here or linked through and isn't updated, then it just isn't available yet. I mean, Ellen's been doing a great job of keeping us on top of things. So
thanks to Annie. Annie, by the way, I should shout out to Annie because she also has helped redesign that page so that it's easy to find everything in one spot. So thank you, Annie, for helping with that. But yeah, that conference info page really does have everything, including the next thing that everyone needs to know, if you're not already registered, is the next registration deadline because I believe that's at the end of August, the next price increase. So that's something to keep in mind.
We had somebody drop in at the very last minute, share. Yes, so this is streaming right now on Facebook and on YouTube, our YouTube channels. And so you can go to the Farm Facebook page as well as the Farm YouTube channel, and you'll be able to rewatch all of this and hopefully all of your questions have been answered. Patty, is there anything we forgot? Putting some great stuff in there. This is like actually great fodder for like a Q&A page on the website too, like, or a FAQ,
Yeah.
right? Like
Of the questions that came up most often, we'll have to add to there.
Yeah.
Also, I should mention, because it will be on Facebook and YouTube, feel free to share with your friends. Like if someone's like, oh, I meant to make that and I couldn't, feel free to just share it with people. And of course, you can always contact me, conference@farmfolk.org, if you have any things I didn't answer or weird questions or anything like that. Feel free to hit me up with those, and I'll do my best to get back to you as quickly as I can.
Yes. Excellent. You all are amazing. Thank you so much for spending time with us. Ellen, Stanley, let's do a big, bravo. She's doing an amazing job, and the conference is just getting better and better, and it's so worth attending. So if you haven't registered yet, highly, highly, highly recommend you do so soon. And also just stay up to date with everything that's happening through our farm community page, the Facebook page, most importantly, the website and our email list. Okay.
That's right. And is there any other updates for virtual connections or tech talks that you need to give?
Yes, thank you for actually mentioning that. But yes, we are. We don't have another tech talk scheduled just yet. I think the summer's a little bit harder to do these sorts of things, but we are still doing the performance lane. We have one more performance lane before we take a break, and that's already been filled, but we sure hope you will join us. That's happening next Thursday night. The DJs still do a peer group, and now those are the fourth Wednesday of the month, so that'll be next week. And of course, we have our community peer gatherings that happen on the first and third Thursdays. Those are typically hosted by Charlie Mossbrook and or myself, or Alexa Dawson will pop in. If he's not able to do that, all are welcome. It's a great opportunity to chat and also continue to ask questions about the conference that if we don't have the answers to, we will find out. Because we know that. Yeah.
And we also got a wonderful question from Victoria, and I will mention this because it didn't come up yet, are there day rates for non-attendees? The day rate to attend the conference in general is just the same day rate for anyone, which is $100 for the day. And that's in the registration form. You could also pay when I can't remember, it's different in person, it's more expensive, but I can't remember how much more. But in terms of, for people so there isn't really a non-attendee rate, you're kind of attending or you're not. The only exceptions to that would be, we do offer up some tickets for the evening showcases. So if you know of someone who lives in the Chicago area or who will be in there, who wants to just see some of the performances, we do sell tickets for that. I think it's $20 or $25. And it's a limited number. We don't advertise it greatly, mainly because we're pretty close to capacity in that room, so we can't sell that many. But if you have like a friend or a family member who maybe just be coming along for the ride, but isn't attending most of the conference, but they just want to see the evening stuff, that would be a great opportunity for that. So, and it looks like it was a husband type. Yeah. Type.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
I love that.
There were some interesting things about that I learned recently about us being able to even sell public tickets to these performances, but I don't think that's a problem. Anyway, but yeah. And that is something we should probably add to the general.
Yeah, I think, again, we don't promote it in a big way to the public because there's just so few available, but we will definitely mention it to our email list. So if people want to go.
I wouldn't be surprised at all if there's more things that we have forgotten, but I think the important
or things we just don't know yet, which is very,
very
true.
Yeah, so exciting new announcement. Oh, I know there was one other thing I was going to ask you about, and that was, it's sort of separate, but it's also part of the conference's award nominations.
Yeah.
Right. So do you want to say a couple of words about that?
And that was in the last email blast. So if you didn't see the email blast that went out actually yesterday and today, because I think we resent the same one today as a reminder for the talk, but it was in there. So if you scroll down to the bottom of the email, right now we're taking nominations for the Lantern Bearer Awards, which are people who've done something significant for our Midwestern folk community. Annie was a recipient last year, and we've had so many wonderful people acknowledged. So it could be anyone who's done significant work. So especially this is great for people who've done behind the scenes stuff that maybe don't get recognized as often. So those can be great people to nominate. There's just instructions on how to do it in the email. I think it's also on the website. And the deadline is August 1st. So if there's someone that you would like nominated, and it's really simple, it's just like, their name, what they've done, it's pretty easy. So.
Okay. Yeah, we'll come back to that, you and me, on the website. But yes, the award, I think the nomination form is the same as it was last year, right? Because that's what's up there now. So.
It's not even a form. I think it's just instructions on you email it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It's not mine.
So
it's a Google form, so it should work. Okay.
Okay.
Perfect.
Great.
Any last thoughts there, Ms. Stanley? As you
No, I'm just really excited for the conference this year. Especially this being my second year, I feel like I know more what has to be done, and I'm really excited about it. And we have some new things coming. The keynote's going to be great. Our programming is going to be awesome, and we're going to have a lot of new faces as well, which I'm really excited about. And it's nice to see so many of your faces, and I can't wait to see them in 3D format this fall.
Nice. All right, excellent. Thank you so much for spending this time with us. I know you're super busy.
Thank you, Annie.
A lot going on, but thank you, the rest of you, and for all of you out there in Facebook land, and you know where to find them. You know where to find her.
Thank you,
Have
Annie.
a great day. I hope you're in air conditioning. Okay. All right. Bye, everyone.